So that'll show you who the bride is. Before we, because you understand, a word in the Bible can have more than one meaning, right? Yeah. So you can't. It's because you see bride, you can't assume that's the church. You can't assume it.
Okay.
And so like I said, the scriptures testify to the scriptures. So.
Yep. Right. So this right here, this is Ahnsahnghong's book, Problems with the New Jerusalem, the Bride and Woman's Veils. The bride of the Lamb are the 144,000 saints who have accepted the gospel. That's Ahnsahnghong's belief about who the bride is. There's many statements in here that I could point you to. Again, these are Ahnsahnghong's words.
Yeah, I could try to read that myself. I'm gonna take that with a grain of salt, because I don't know, like.
Okay. I'm just encouraging you, like, I feel like I'm showing you these things. I'm showing you right now, I'm showing you Ahnsahnghong making statements about who the bride is, and they disagree with your beliefs. I guess I'm just saying, like, if you're really honest with the Bible and you're really honest with what you're believing, it's confusing how you can conclude something different than Ahnsahnghong did about who the bride is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand. And then, like, I see where you come from. Me myself, I have not read that to see.
Yeah. Well, I would encourage you. I think you owe it to yourself to read that book. So that clip you just heard is from a live Zoom conversation that I had about 2 years ago, where a member whose name is RJ came on under the name Jittle Bittle, kind of a weird, funny name, but he came under that name as a current member, and he wanted to have a conversation / debate with us, again, live.
Okay. So there's two Jerusalems. Yeah, there's a physical Jerusalem, and there's a spiritual Jerusalem. This is a heavenly Jerusalem. So nowhere it speaks about God's people being the heavenly Jerusalem. And think about it too, the heavenly Jerusalem is coming down out of heaven.
That was about 2 years ago, near the beginning of the pandemic, that conversation happened. And yeah, you can go back and listen to that. I'm going to put a link in the description below to that conversation from about 2 years ago. But recently I was contacted by RJ through email. He told me that he's left the WMSCOG, both him and his wife, and he told me that he watched Edgar's interview, the one we released about a week or two ago. And he said that after watching that, he was really confirmed that leaving the WMSCOG was the right thing to do. Before I play that conversation, I just wanted to say thank you to a couple people who have recently joined our monthly Patreon support. So Chrissy Mendez and Melissa have both recently come on to Patreon to give monthly support. And yeah, just want to say thank you so much. Really appreciate that. That's very helpful for me right now and continuing to make videos. I also wanted to share a couple messages that we've recently received from people who are reaching out to us and just sharing about how they've been impacted by the videos we're producing. So I'm not going to mention any names because I'm not entirely sure that these people would want their names mentioned, but this person says, "Hi, cool videos about WMSCOG. I almost got caught in this madness, but I came across your YouTube channel before following with their craziness. Forever grateful to have found you." Another message says, "I would like to say thank you for using your platform to bring some sign of relief to us affected by the WMSCOG. I've just started my journey of watching your videos as of yesterday. I have a long way to go, but really has helped me, as before I was hiding my pain from all friends and family and even thinking of returning to my abuser after my state fully reopened from the end of the pandemic. Once watching, been able to breathe, knowing, no, I'm not crazy for leaving, I'm not alone, and that I don't need to push myself to go back. Continue what you are doing, and soon enough, nobody will be stuck there anymore." And then one last one says, "I just want to thank you for everything you do. A big thank you to the people that you bring on to talk about their experiences. I always had my suspicions with the church when I was attending, but finding your YouTube channel really solidified my uncertainties, and I just appreciate everything you are doing. Jordan, I was really in a dark place back in 2019, and I almost lost myself in the WMSCOG." So we love to get emails and messages like that. It's always super encouraging to hear that our videos are being a determining factor in people leaving the WMSCOG or deciding, being on the verge of joining the group and deciding not to join. So if you have a similar story, if you're being blessed by the videos in any way, we really would love to hear from you. Send us an email, contact us on Instagram. And I want to start reading more of these kind of messages on videos, just to kind of keep everybody in tune with how the videos are impacting people. So if you do send us a message, try to remember to maybe tell me if you would like or not for your message to be read out online. Obviously, I'm not going to read every single email or message we get, but I do want to read more. And so if you want your name or message read or not, just try to remember to let me know. With all that said, yeah, I'm excited for you to hear my conversation with RJ. It's been about 2 years. I just checked that you came on the live Zoom discussion as a current member, and you were in full-on debate mode. But we still had I think a good conversation, and you were respectful. And but yeah, now almost 2 years later, and here you are, coming on the channel, sharing how and why you left. So it's just, yeah, it's been really cool to see that, with Edgar and a lot of people, it seems like we're seeing are actually being impacted in some way by the videos. And so, yeah, thank you for coming on today.
No problem. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been 2 years, man, almost 2 years. I believe it was like May in 2020, or I want to say like May or June.
It was May. Yep, right at the start of the pandemic, pretty much.
Yeah, 2 months. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. So much has changed since. So I'm here now.
Yeah. Obviously, a lot has changed having you where you're at now, and coming on sort of on the opposite side this time. So, so you said it was watching Edgar's video recently. Was that impactful for you?
No, that was
play
more
a
like
part
a
in any of this?
It was more of a confirmation, like confirming, because like what Igor brought up, like it had like questions, and then like it's funny.
Hey, we got the same water bottle.
Yeah, you can't go.
We're not promoting Walmart water right now.
Great value. You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, you can't.
No, but it was
sorry.
Because like I remember the conversations like after the video. We was talking like even after the fact and everything, like on the phone. I remember I had questions, and I was at work, and we had like 30-minute conversation and everything at my job. It was like, oh my god, I'm gonna get fired for this. But it was it was legit. But but it was funny because like after the video, of course it's pandemic and everything, and a lot of free time. At that year, matter of fact, I actually wanted to leave right there, because it's funny, because after I did the video, the church knew it was me. I have a distinct voice, like my voice. Everybody knows my voice, so like, yeah, they knew it was me off the bat.
Did you get in trouble for that?
It was funny. I got more in trouble by my wife than anybody else.
Oh, really?
My wife super rebuked me. She went hard. She went hard in the paint on me. I ain't gonna lie. And then like
so she's a committed member as well then?
Oh no, she left last year.
Okay, but she I'm assuming she was at the time that she rebuked you. Yeah.
She was at that time. You'll say she had like stronger faith than me, because I wanted to leave during that year. So after the video, she's like, "Why you do that?" Rebuked me hard. And then like a few days later, that's when the church finally found out, like see the videos and everything. And even though I put my name Jittle Bittle, call me JB, of course, like I said, my voice, they was able to know who I am. And I guess they could do something to it, because like I guess they searched my name up too. I'm the only Jittle Bittle. So I guess they probably searched my name up and saw like pictures on Google or whatever type of searching thing they have. Which they do have a searching thing on. Later told me that. But they're pretty, cool with it. They're like, he told me off the bat, I'm not from rebuke you. They want to understand why I did that. Any questions I may have. I talked to the leader at Riverside at the time. He called me. And I talked to him, and he wanted me to get the video down. And that's why I was emailing you.
Yeah, that's right.
Trying to get those videos down because that's what they wanted. I was perfect. I was fine with it. That's what they wanted.
I kind of remember that. I don't think you mentioned that. I remember you emailing and trying to get them down, and I don't think you mentioned though in those emails that you wanted them down because the church wanted them. You had other reasons that you were using.
Of course, I ain't gonna mention it at the time because you're gonna bring that up in the videos.
Yeah. Yes. Right. So I regularly try to get members, like current members who are coming in the comments to have a private phone conversation or even a public conversation like this. And so I'm just curious from your perspective, like you did that, like you mentioned a few minutes ago, after the live video where RJ came on, we talked, I think 2 or 3 times on the phone, just in private. I think it was 2 times maybe. And yeah, they were like 30 minutes to an hour long conversation. So, a lot of members just refuse to do that. And they'll, we have members who are like every video we post, they're posting comments almost, it seems like. And so they're obviously very interested in this, but they refuse to talk on the phone with me. So I'm just curious from your perspective as a member who did that, like what was that like? And maybe would you recommend to other members that they do that? Was it like was I just like being argumentative and rude, or was it a good experience?
It was a cool experience for me. It's just like something I wanted to do. Of course the church don't want us to do it. Because they say mother says like, don't watch these videos, don't interact. This is like the tree from knowledge of good and evil. Eat from it. Yep. If you watch these videos and interacting, then you eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and then certainly you're gonna die, right? Right. But it was cool after the fact. I felt good about it, just like because what I wanted to do to share my experience because watching your videos, everybody talk about that experience, and and even like to this day, like I never, I still had good experience, and just I left because I felt disconnected, I really never felt connected to like, the father and mother, right? I never felt like connected, like that's my God. I was just designed for like you could say selfish reasons, basically. Like it made me a better person, character-wise, and that's why I wanted to share that experience with y'all, and but that was the main reason, like to share my experience and everything. But if you're part of the church, like you're not supposed to be interacting with you, like you're not supposed to watch these videos. Right.
Yep. Yeah. Not only you're not supposed to be having a phone conversation, but they're not even supposed to be in the comments and watching the videos in the first place. But yeah, I just I kind of mentioned that because I feel like we had a good, decent conversation. I feel like you allowed me to kind of share where I was coming from and challenge you with, I think we got into some of the Ahnsahnghong prophecies, I think at one point, and I gave you time to share your thoughts as well. And so that's really my intention with inviting people to come have private or public conversations like this with me is not just to, win an argument or something, but to have a real conversation. And I feel like our experience with that is a good example of that can be done. And so, but
it was good. It was awesome. It was a cool experience. We interact like we'll just conversate, have friends, like it was cool to me,
Yeah. So tell me what, I guess maybe I'd like to hear a little bit more about your process of leaving and what it was that made you leave. But maybe before that, could we go back to kind of the beginning and kind of explain maybe how long you were in the WMSCOG and like why you initially joined?
Oh, yes. You may have gone back in the previous videos like we did 2 years ago. Now, let's see, I'm hitting my 5-year mark being in Church of God. You know, I would have hit my 3 more months and I would hit my 5-year mark, my spiritual birth. And I joined because like the things they were showing is, you know, ignorance is bliss. You know, if you don't really know nothing in the Bible and they show you some things you have no knowledge about and they show you through their own interpretation, their own lens and everything. It's convincing. It really is. It's really convincing. I ain't gonna lie. And but it's their own narrative. You know, they fit what they want to fit in the whole narrative story. You know, and I came to realize that it's like, you know, once you start thinking for yourself and start like looking at the lens that they want you to look at, like how they want you to think, and you start thinking like, hold on, like it could be like this, that, or the third. It's like, you know, like you start to open your mind. It's like realizing like, hold on, this is wrong right here. Hold on, like when you start thinking for yourself, you know, then it's easier. It's easier, you know, to like, to
see the issues. But they obviously have a lot of strategies in place to keep you guys from thinking for yourself, right?
Yeah, a lot of counter arguments. They use like they Bible intelligence over your intelligence to make you like, you know, smaller basically, and just listen to like what they say basically, like their word is law basically.
Yep.
And it's very convincing. Yeah, they're very convincing people. I ain't gonna lie. But that's
so, you know, So when you joined, was it because were you preached to, like when you were out in a Walmart or something? Where was it that you?
My wife at the time, she was doing Primerica, and so the Primerica office buildings were by the church building, office building, and then like when we was going to the Primerica, we was approached by a member, preached to us. You know, so Genesis 1:26-27. That shocked me because, you know, how the way they put it, right? The way they put it. It's like, you know, us, our male, female. I'm like, it could be that, you know, and it's like, I wasn't interested in Bible studies at the time, though. I wasn't interested in like joining a church or, you know, but my wife was more, it's funny because my wife was more interested, right? You know, my wife led the whole thing, got us baptized and everything. And it's super funny because she left before me. Like she left last year. It's so funny.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's so funny. Yeah.
So was that influential then in causing you to leave? When your wife left?
Not really, you know, because it was funny. Like I said, it's funny because I wanted to leave first. You know, I wanted to leave first back in 2020. And, you know, and then I tell her how I felt. You know, I don't feel connected. It's like, you know, because like when they bring up stuff, I don't cry. Like I don't feel that connection like how other members they cry. I saw all the members, they cry, shed tears, you know, sacrifice a father and mother, they cry. But like me, it's like I don't feel that.
Feeling it.
I don't feel that. Like, you know, like, and I got family right now who like homeless right now who just carry out the gospel on the road, you know, establishing churches. You know, they sacrifice a lot being broke and poor as well. So I know the struggle. You know, I know the struggle. And so that never like, I never looked at them like really as God, you know, like, I never felt that. So I told my wife that too. And, you know, and then later on she started feeling the same way, you know, and then we came together and we just came to agree, like, let's continue to try. Let's just try. You know, just continue to try, you know, let's just continue. And we continue to try. You know, my wife gave it another year before she finally left away. And then I gave it a year after she left, and now I'm like, now I'm gone.
So what was it for your wife? What was it that made her decide to leave?
The missionary Ron thing. She saw those old videos and lawsuits and a lot of strange thing, red flags, a lot of red flags for her.
Okay, so she started to do a little bit of digging into it on the internet.
Yeah, she started digging, and you know, she started finding more. She cried. She like, can't believe this. She cried, and it was hard for her to leave. It was really hard for her to leave. Yeah, it messed her up mentally a little bit. You know, as a husband, I had to be there for her, of course. You know, but I really didn't make it no better. You know, because I'm trying to bring her back to Zion at that time. Because you know, at that time, like, I'm back to being committed. It's like, you know, I'm back in it. I'm back in routine. I'm doing my thing. You know, and now, like, you know, of course, you're trying to bring her back, and we still bump heads a couple times, you know, because the Bible's open, talk about God. She had her own view. Of course, I have my view in Zion. And, you know, but it wasn't too bad, like, you know, like separation type things. You know, my wife is very patient. She was very patient with me as well, you know, so that's one thing I appreciate, having a supporting wife as well. You know, if you have a spouse, you know, that's in Zion currently, and you're not in Zion, just be patient. Like, my wife is very patient. Like, when Tuesday, third day came, she's like, babe, you know, it's time for third day, go ahead. She stay home. You know, babe, get some good night's sleep for the Sabbath tomorrow. You got to go to Zion tomorrow. She was very patient with me. You know, she supported me, you know, because it was good for me. You know, it's a change for me. Inwardly, it was good, you know. But even though it was good, it's like I felt I wasn't filled, though. You know, like, I was just doing stuff that's selfish, you know, like, I finally found peace with myself. Like, okay, I'm a good, you know, I'm able to separate myself from certain things now, but now I want to get closer to God now. Like, I need that feel with God, you know. And Zion I didn't have that feel with God. I just was in emotion, doing stuff at a ritual, being told what to do, you know, basically, and had a program, and it's had a program.
Yeah, well, it's when your relationship to God, quote unquote, and in a group like the WMSCOG, it revolves so much around, well, almost entirely around your performance. It's all about what you are able to do, whether you are willing to work hard enough and do your part. And as long as you are trying hard enough and doing all the right things, then you have, you know, supposedly the approval of God. And so it's all such a, you know, his love for you in that system is entirely conditional, which in my mind is the opposite of what a true, not only human father, but more than that, a heavenly father. It's the opposite of what that should be. And, you know, if you think about it in relation to, it sounds like I can hear little voices in the background. So it sounds like you may have some kids. But
that's the Peppa Pig. Hold on.
No, you're good. I'm actually just using it as a point to say, like, you know, as a human father, the idea that my love for my kids would be conditioned on whether they are, you know, attending services every Saturday or tithing enough money or preaching to enough people. You know, it's, you know, to put conditions on that, stipulations for whether or not I accept my kids and love them and embrace them, that it just doesn't work. You know, that's going to create a huge gap and really destruction in that relationship. And so, yeah, it makes total sense to me why you would say you didn't feel any sort of connection, because when you know that your, you know, if your acceptance and your love from these gods is conditioned on whether you're keeping yourself in shape. Yeah, it's just all built on, it seems like, pressure and shame and guilt and things that just are not going to give you any sense of peace or security or connection to God.
Yeah, and that's how I feel like. As long as, because they deep in long as keep the laws of God, the new covenant, you're gonna have this remain in Zion. That's what they've been saying lately. This remain in Zion, all the way to the very heaven. Just remain in Zion. And so that's it's like no connection. Like it's an outward appearance. Like it's like it's not inwardly. It's like they believe that we're saved based off the Passover, based off Sabbath, keeping these laws. But like it's like man, I don't know. That's over everything basically. And you disconnect from God, because God, it's more than just that, the church do more, they do like, to a limit though, just like once in a while, like, okay, let's do clean up, and then when we do clean up, let's get the news involved, let's just show like we're good and inwardly, but like, like the Bible said, don't let your left hand know what your right hand doing, just do it,
right.
Just
right.
So
yeah,
that was
so you mentioned your wife having a hard time leaving, and I just want to acknowledge that's hard. That's a hard thing for, whether you're leaving this group or any structure, religious or not, that you've been a part of for a long time. Like it's something where you get your identity, who you are, your purpose, your meaning in life, all that gets so intricately wrapped up in these systems. And so to leave that totally makes sense that would be difficult, and probably more difficult for some than others. But did you kind of have a similar experience? Has it been hard emotionally to leave?
Not really, because like I said, I've been wanting to leave like 2 years ago, and then I'll just slowly just making my way out. So my wife had a more difficult time, especially not me like fully being with her 100%. It was really hard for her. Me, just like my wife's there for me. She's like, babe, I'm here for you. If you have any problems, how you feeling? Because I know how it is, And then, I try to be the best husband I could at that time when she left. But like, I was still in Zion trying to bring her back, So. And she had nobody to talk to. She tried to talk to me, and then she said, "Hey, talking to me." She's like, "You sound robotic." She told me that. She's like, "You sound robotic."
Your wife told you that, yeah.
Yeah, wow. I'm like, that hurt me. Me and my wife been knowing each other since we were 16 years old. I'm 28 now, so that's 12 years. We know each other. So for her to say like I sound robotic, and that's one thing. Going back to the videos too, it's super cringy. I'm like, that's not me. I don't sound like that. I sound like another member around me. That's not me.
That's so interesting. It's there's another podcast by two sisters. One was a former deaconess, and the podcast is called Playing in Traffic. A little shout out to that podcast. They basically are covering some interviews with former members, and just she shares her experience in the group, why she left, things like that. But one thing they talk about regularly that I think is so interesting is this idea that as you're a part of this cult, you kind of take on this whole separate identity that they call it like your cult identity. So like there's the real you, who you really are, but then as you become a part of this group, it's kind of like you take on this different identity, this different way of talking and way of thinking that really it's unnatural. Like it's almost this forced thing, and you suppress like the true part of yourself to kind of make way for this other cult identity. And I feel like honestly, like I can look back at those conversations, the live conversations with you and other members, and I can hear that. I can hear that in the way they talk and the things that they say. It's like you can hear this, like almost like this forced out. They're forcing this stuff out of themselves that's not even really a true part of who they are. It's not even really what they're thinking. It's not real. It's not coming out of a place like from like their heart, like their inner person. It's something that they are putting onto themselves and kind of forcing themselves to say and to do. And so, yeah, it's interesting that you recognize that, and to have your wife kind of call that out. I'm sure that would be something that would really make you kind of take a second look at it all.
Yeah, for sure. Not no lie, like, and that's how it is. Like, you know, people are not themselves in there. Like, there's somebody else. That's you. Like, you're impersonating your leaders, basically. That's what I was just doing. You know, like, oh, you look like a good, humble person. Just mimic him. You know, copy, mirroring him. You naturally, you're influenced that if you're spending your time with that person, like every day of your life. It's like you start to, then traits, you know, come to you, and it's like, that's not me. It's like, that's you just touch yourself.
You lose yourself.
You lose yourself, your way of thinking, and you just go along with how, you know, like we you know, it's just like our rebuttals too. It's like the same. It's like you say the same exact thing. It's like it's not coming just from the
programmed
heart.
Responses.
It's programmed. Oh, it's really programmed. That's why my wife's getting mad at me. Like, you just saying things because you're programmed to say that, and it's like looking at the videos too. I'm like yeah, I was programmed to say that.
Yeah. The evidence you're providing, I guess, and I'm just saying this honestly, like, I just have a hard time seeing that as anything that's
yeah, I understand. It's confusing. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I get where you come from. It's hard. It's hard to believe.
Yep.
I get it. Just like talk to an atheist. Atheists not gonna believe in Jesus Christ no matter what. You know, they can't believe in God. It's hard for them to believe. I get it. You know, I get where you come from. This might be hard. You got a firm faith. Only thing I know, Jesus Christ came. He preached the truth in the new covenant. He came. We see in history, this is history now, a lot of things that people are teaching now are not from the Bible or not from Jesus Christ no more. And so the prophecy shows us that Father has to come back the second time to be able to show us the correct way, according to the Bible, be able to the new covenant, which was lost in the dark ages.
Again, I just kind of want to say, just for the record, this kind of similar, I think, to the conversation we had with Ray, where we're just kind of asking straightforward, like, what's the evidence for Ahnsahnghong Jah being Mother God? And it just seems like there's not really a good response for that. Yeah, it's like you don't really even believe it. You haven't thought of that on your own. You haven't thought all the way through it. It's just, this is what you've been told to say. So in this scenario that I'm in now, I know this is the correct answer to give. So it's like, it comes out on like this conveyor belt sort of process, and there's no real meaning or substance to it. And yeah, that's one of the worst parts of this, is just you lose yourself, like you just said, and even like your interests and probably hobbies and passions and like music that you maybe really truly like that you can't listen to anymore, or movies you like, that, you know, just a whole variety of things, you know. I mean, obviously even down to things like your family, you know, your deepest connections. A lot of members have to completely cut off those relationships, and so you literally, in high demand groups like this, you lose yourself, which is,
it's a sad thing.
Yeah, terrible.
I lost connections with my family. Like, you know, I love my family still around, you know, just like I'm making it back up, like spending more time with my family now, because like I just miss things just because I'm preaching, or I keep, you know, just doing activities, you know, at the church instead of being with my family, you know. And it's like my cousin be like, dang, you're always over there, like spend some time with us, you know. Like I miss on my little cousin's birthday. Like, she's finna to be like 5 this year, you know, and I think it was her birthday this year for sure. I'm going her birthday, you know, but I had to miss out 4 years of her birthdays, you know. And it's my first cousin. My first cousin had a baby, you know. It's like I'm missing out being there, you know, like.
Yep.
And we see, because we always had ideas like the world is going to end any day, like it's going to end like and it's true, you know, it could end any day. But if it's going to end any day, enjoy every day, you know, with your loved ones, you know. Just enjoy it, you know. God's going to come, bring judgment. Have that peace with God, have that connection with God, you know. And let God do His judgment, you know. And it's It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. The things a person will do, the decisions they will make when they adopt that idea that the world is going to end at any moment. And this is, this is something in all religious groups, whether it's the WMSCOG or evangelical Christianity. I mean, I've seen it in a whole variety of places. When people get this notion that, things are just getting bad and they're going to get worse and worse, and there's nothing to look forward to except the inevitable end of the world that's probably going to come in the next year or two. And people quit jobs. They don't pursue careers that they maybe have always wanted to. They abandon families. Just the decisions people will make. Just another reason why I feel like these videos are important, and for people like you to come out and speak out to keep people from getting entangled in that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I understand too, like, if you have this idea like the world's going to end, like, I understand people trying to get closest possible to God, but it's not how you do it. Like, get as close as God, get as close as possible to God, but still don't abandon, like, who you are, true, who you are, and then disconnect yourself with loved ones. Like, I understand the idea, but like I said, it's not what you do, it's how you do it,
Yeah.
And
and
then
if
you're talking, go ahead.
Well, no, you go ahead. I thought you were done, so finish your thought.
I was gonna bring up like a little since we're talking about like last days and everything, like I heard the world's going to end 2 years ago. I heard that. Now I first heard that. I heard that
in 2020.
2020, I heard that.
Was it like a direct teaching from like a deacon or a pastor or?
Nah, so it was retracted. So it was like a Zoom. It was in a Zoom meeting, and that was late. That's why I wanted to leave in 2020 as well, because like they said this is what happened. It was on a Zoom meeting, design I was in, and they were saying like Mother said in 2020, all prophecies are being fulfilled, are going to be fulfilled 2020. They didn't say the world's going to end, but if you're saying all prophecies are going to be fulfilled, then that's only one thing. Yeah. Like, we're going to heaven, Other members had the same idea. Like, it's because we're going to heaven. 2020, we're going to heaven. And later on, it was retracted. Like, forgive me what I said, about all prophecies being fulfilled and everything. I'm like, why you going to retract that? Like, you said Mother said that, but of course, it could have been anything. You heard it wrong from a leader, but the person I heard it from is like a really reliable, trustable person that won't say nothing without thinking. Like, this person thinks like 10 times before he speaks, So I heard that 2020 for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy how much that gets just kind of seems like carelessly thrown around in the WMSCOG year after year, that the world is going to end. And then obviously it doesn't end when it was predicted to, and they just keep saying it year after year after year. And I don't know what is going on there that would keep those people kind of spreading that idea over and over from realizing that this isn't working and our predictions aren't happening. And two, if we keep doing this, it's just continuing to make our group look terrible and look like a cult. And it's like that's just a hallmark of cult groups is making these very exact predictions about the end of the world coming that never happen, and then you just keep repeating the predictions, and they keep repeating the false predictions, and they never come to pass, obviously. But it just definitely does not make your organization that you're trying to promote as the truth of God. It doesn't help the argument there. It doesn't help your case. But did you I've heard members like even being shamed or rebuked or made to feel guilty about things, even like eating ice cream or, you know, going to movies and things like that, as if there's nothing in the world that you should really, you know, these things that people in the world enjoy are just evil, and they're you know, worldly things that aren't going to help you toward heaven and things like that. Did you experience that sort of thing?
Yeah, like for example, like movies. Don't watch movies, you know, only watch movies in Zion, like spiritual movies. And, you know, I talk about movies all the time, you know, and then, you know, shows, and, you know, they make us feel guilty, like we just can't discuss things like about that. Just only discuss heavenly things. That's all you can talk about. This talk about heaven. That's it. And it's like everybody sounds the same. It's like it's getting annoying. It's like, you know, it's like I can't talk to you as a real person. You know, I like probably one good friend I could talk to regularly in Zion, the Church of God. Only one of them, you know, it's cool. Hopefully, you know, hopefully stay connected. You know, I'm gone. You know, because we really connected, like deeply connected. So, but yeah, they're trying to and like I remember like going to like preparation day on Fridays before we clean up, you know, before the Sabbath, and I couldn't wear a hat. And I was like, you know, because I'm supposed to be like, you know, I was always getting, you know, faith getting stronger. I was becoming more like a leader, right? I wasn't a leader. I was like assisting. I was helping, right? I was a helper. But I couldn't wear no hat because I got to set a good example. I can't show my tattoos because I got tattoos here. You know, I got tattoos right here. Got tattoos right here. Tattoos right here. I couldn't like wear a short sleeve shirt to show my tattoos. And I remember outside, oh my goodness, it was outside, it was super hot outside, right? We're at a park, fellowshipping. We're playing like kickball, soccer, volleyball, you know, some good sports. I ain't gonna lie, with fellowship was fun. But I had to wear a long sleeve shirt. I'm super hot. I had to wear a long sleeve shirt. And it's like, you know, I'm like, you know, cause I obey, and, you know, but I'm over here going through it. I feel have a heat stroke. Look, I'm wearing this long sleeve shirt because I can't show my tattoo. Right. And there was some members do, like, I know, like the females, like even my wife, she had to put makeup on her tattoos, you know, to cover it up. So that's crazy. Like, you know, like,
that is.
Yeah, it gets to me now. It's like, oh my goodness, like that's, you know, like if you got tattoos before we were baptized, like we're baptized now, that should be forgiven, right? Like, like I got tattoos on me, and then, you know, some people tend to like, you know, erase some, you know, which is a good idea. You know, I'm thinking about erasing some of my tattoos I have, because some of them are like not good, you know. But but you can't see them all. You can't see it though. You can't, you know, it's not exposed. But getting a tattoo removed, just, you know, it's a good idea if they're not good tattoos. But my tattoos are like my, for example, my right arm. It's my grandma, you know, rest in peace. And to my aunties, I got their names in the clouds on my arm. I can't display that. This one I got my wife's last name, our initials forever. I can't expose that, you know, the tattoo. So that's, you know, it made me feel bad, like, but it wasn't like a hard, you know, like you can't do this, you know, like, oh, can you not, you know, show good example, you know.
Yeah. Well, I hope you don't have any remaining guilt associated with the Bible because you have tattoos. I think that's a super just
I'm good.
Unbiblical thing. You know, people again, not only in this group, but a whole variety of churches would have big issues with tattoos. And I think people get wrapped up and focused in on such insignificant things like that, you know, I would just say, give me a Bible verse that says having a tattoo of you and your wife's initials is somehow this terrible, evil thing. I just think it's so insignificant and so petty, the things that people sometimes get so wrapped up in and make people feel so shameful and guilty about. So
shaving, you have to be shaved.
Shaving.
Shaving, and then like
not anymore.
Yeah, because this is my natural. This is who I was before. Like, this is me. Like, I told out, this is me. But coming in church, like Zion, like I had to stay clean cut because father was clean cut. He kept it clean,
Yeah.
you know, clean cut it, you know, and I had a role where I used to pray in the morning for Sabbath. I used to pray in the mornings, right? For service or concluding service, I used to pray. And so if I didn't shave, I couldn't pray. So I'm like, you know, like it is, that's, you know, that's the,
Is that what they told you, or is that was just how you internalized?
No, that's what they told me. Like,
that's what they told you. Okay.
You finna pray, like on preparation, like, hey, you finna pray tomorrow, clean up. You know, if you don't clean up, you can't pray.
Wow. Because God, what he's looking for and what he's so concerned about is if you have hair growing out of your face when you talk to him. And if you have hair growing out of your face, he can't do it. He can't look at you. What were some things do you feel like that you lost about yourself? Are there things about like who you were, like your like hobbies, passions, just obviously you just mentioned facial hair, but are there other things that you feel like you've lost about who you were that now that you're out, you feel like you're kind of coming back to and finding again?
Like my connection to my friends and family. You know, there's some things I lost, you know, which was good traits, you know, some good. I had a lot of bad habits. So I was able to lose some of the bad habits, you know, being part of the Church of God. But I could have got that anywhere else, I believe, you know, if I would have focused on, but I feel like God puts me in the journey. This is my feeling, you know, God put me, everybody has a journey, right? So God knows what everybody's going through. So maybe at that time, you know, I don't know, the church was just used at the time to get rid of my bad traits at that time. Now that I got some of those bad traits out, now God told me, okay, now come out now focus on true God, and now get that connection, that peace with the true God. You know, 'cause I have peace with myself, fool myself. I was able to work on myself, be mentally stronger, you know, and now I'm getting spiritual, you know, with the true God.
Yeah, so I'm curious where do you feel like you're at with that? How do you feel like having left the WMSCOG has that? Do you feel like you maybe feel like you're getting closer to that, like an experience of God as He truly is? Do you like, what's kind of your thoughts about all that right now? Have you discovered anything?
It's a lot for me. I'm still going through that journey. For, you know, I pray on it. Bring me closer to you, you know, and it's like, cause I dug into a lot of history as well, and I'm probably looking at things where I'm really shouldn't be really concerned about, you know, and you know, I'm not all the way there, you know, just like it's a couple of questions I don't know that I have within myself concerning, like, you know, the Bible and history and all that, you know, but
do you feel open to sharing those questions, or?
Oh yeah, I could share the questions, you know, this is like my personal questions, you know, you could put this in the videos if you want, you can chop it out if you like, you know, my question has to be like, you know, the name of Jesus, right? You know, we're saving the name of Jesus, but like, you know, my thing is like, that's not really his name. When he was born, Jesus is English, you know, his name was like Yeshua, you know, that's his name. It shouldn't change, you know, because it was written in Greek and then now it's written in Latin, and when Latin went to English, shouldn't change. You know, that's, I don't know, I'm thinking about it too much, you know, and all that.
I think that's a good question.
And like the image of Jesus too, like, you know, the image of Jesus, like that's not his image, especially, you know, like the image came from like the Catholic Church or whatever, you know, like everybody's broadcast this image of Jesus. Like even in Zion, I questioned Zion about that too. Like if you believe like Zion is true church, right, and then everything else is Babylon, how can we uphold the image of Jesus? That image of Jesus did not come from a Babylon church, Babylonians, you know. So why have that? We have Jesus' image like in the church, you know, in the sermons, the Green Book,
right?
You know, that's an idol, really. It's an image of God. We shouldn't make or worship. You should not make yourself an image or worship, you know. So we abide that by you know, but we have this image of Jesus. And that's like, you know, that's like my personal, you know, things with Christianity, you know, just like the name of Jesus, the image of Jesus, you know. But I'm not gonna say like you're wrong, you know, because you worship Jesus and keep the image. Like, you know, like I said, who am I to say who's right or who's wrong, you know? But me, I feel like I'm not connected to that image. I'm not connected to that name, you know, the English name. You know, I'm more connected right now, you know, his Hebrew name, his name he was born with. You know, like my name, I was born with my name. Like your name is Jordan. You know, you're not gonna go to Africa and they start calling you a different name in the African language. Like, you know, your name is still Jordan. You know, you go anywhere in the world, your name is still Jordan.
Yeah.
No matter what, that's just your birth name. So that's like my little. So I don't know. You might have an answer for. I asked the church that, you know, as a member that, and he's going to leaders and, you know, I know you'll take.
No, I think those are good questions, and I think as far as the second point, I just think that's a great point, a great thing to observe. The fact that, you know, the WMSCOG obviously is very anti-cross, and you know, to them, Christians who have crosses hanging in their houses or crosses on top of their church buildings, that's idolatry, which I think is just somewhat absurd, and unfounded argument to make. But yeah, I think it's when you hear them making that sort of argument, but then they have pictures of Jesus, as you said, who were created by what to them would be pagan, you know, idol worshipers. You know, probably some of the artwork I don't know what pictures they have, but some of the artwork may have been created by Catholics. I don't know. And so yeah, I think what you're seeing there is just another example of some hypocrisy that I think exists in this group, and that you're going to find, if you look, you're going to see hypocrisy all over the place in the WMSCOG like that. But I think for the first question you asked, that again, that's a good question, and I don't probably have a full answer that'll completely satisfy you. But I think one thought I have is that when the Bible talks about the name, like the name of the Lord or the name of God or the name of Jesus, I think it has, you know, what's implied there is a lot more than like the letters that are making up, you know, that title. It's more than just about like the specific title that God goes by. So whether that's Jesus or Yahweh, but it's like when the Bible talks about the name of God, what's I think involved within that is it's like the identity of God, the character and nature of God, like the name of like in Psalm 18, it says the name of God is a strong tower. So like the letters that make up God's name aren't a strong tower. What makes the name of God a strong tower is, you know, the person who's behind that name. It's the identity of the God who has that name. So God is love, God is kind, God is forgiving, God is sovereign. And so all that I think is wrapped up in whenever the Bible mentions like the name of God and we're saved by the name of God. I think it has a lot more to do with the character. So I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but
little bit, because like you said, like you said, like a lot of people with that name, it's like, you know, but God has been like God is love, like God is love. That's just, you know, God is the everlasting Father. He's a wonderful counselor. He's many names, many titles, you know. And it's crazy. Like on one thing too, like I want to mention, like I mentioned this last night to my wife. It just hit me out of nowhere because this one thing is just in my head about like the name of Christ, you know. So like it's like question I asked the Church of God too. It's like we're supposed to be like baptizing people in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, right? And then like okay, first of all, Jehovah's not really the Father's name. Like this is my, like I said, this is my, I'm not trying to force this on anybody else. It's like this is my own thoughts, right? And my own opinion is like Jehovah is not Father's name. Jesus, you know, not Son's name, and like if they go they keep the word Elohim though. like they call God Elohim God. You know, that's the title of God. That's the Hebrew, right? That's what he used at first, right? It was Elohim.
Right.
That's Elohim God. But you keep one Hebrew word. But then when it comes to like Jehovah, it's like you don't call him Yahweh, you come to Jesus, you don't call him Yeshua. You know, you don't keep Elohim God, one Hebrew word. You know, instead of keeping like the other names that's in Hebrew. You know, that's one thing I do as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, did you have other questions like that, or things that you saw didn't make sense that they couldn't answer?
No, it was like, no, that's crazy because I had these questions too. It's crazy. And then like I said, I haven't watched your videos in so long. I had these questions, and when I finally left, I left, and you popped in my head. Like you popped in my head. I'm like, I wonder if Jordan's still doing these videos, you know? And I clicked, oh, he's still on it. And I looked at my last time I saw a video of you, it was like last year. I haven't saw your videos in a year because when I'm on YouTube, I keep my mind occupied, like trying to like learn about getting my credit score up or learn about the stock market, you know, and I got my mind occupied with other stuff, you know, so I'm not really worried about videos like that. But you popped in my head though, for some reason you popped in my head, and I see Edgar breaking down David and Melchizedek. I'm like, those are questions I have, and like he confirmed it. It's like it brought joy to me because it confirmed, like, because I asked those same questions, like questions about David and everything. I was like, I like Solomon sat on David's throne. I like, you see the kings, and if you read Kings, like you see the kings like sat on David's throne, like, you know, like I'm like, you don't see them getting anointed at the age of 30 and reigning for 40 years. Like you don't see other kings doing that. Like it fluctuates, you know. And like that was like an issue. That was like a question I had, you know, and like it wasn't answered like Edgar makes more sense because that line of David will be there. The throne of David will always be there, and it'll be everlasting throne, right? So like Christ, of course, when Christ went to heaven, he's on that throne, like his everlasting throne. That's, you know, it's not going nowhere. So to say like, no, that has to be fulfilled still. It's like, no, it's an everlasting throne. Like, you know, it's talking about spiritual kingdom, right? His kingdom's in heaven. Yeah, he's a spirit. Yeah, it's a kingdom in heaven. Like, it's a spiritual kingdom because they said like he came to this earth, he brought the kingdom, the gospel kingdom, and he had to sit on David's throne, reigning over the gospel kingdom on this earth. You know, and I'm listening to it like, of course, this didn't come from a leader. This came from like a brother, a member who've been a member, you know, for almost 10 years now. And then he told me like, this is how he would answer. He like, this is not official. This is like his way, you know, and it didn't make no sense to me. And it's crazy because like they get more detail with Melchizedek, right? Very, like a lot of detail with Melchizedek, but when it gets to David or like Moses or Elijah, all these prophetical figures that he's supposed to Ahnsahnghong to represent, it's like the only focus is really more on Melchizedek, you know, but they didn't focus on the part where David got anointed 3 times, right? And then his throne was broken up twice when he ran in Judah, and then he ran over the whole Israel. You know, like you don't get in details like that. But listen to Eager Egger, you know, that's why I call him. My wife is watching him. That's Eager Egger right there. Yeah. But, you know, like, you know, he confirmed the things I was feeling, like things I've been feeling this whole time. And like he revealed, I was like, oh my goodness, like if any members watch those, watch Eager Egger, if y'all watch him, oh my goodness, I don't know how y'all stay. Like,
yeah, that's great. I've those 2 answers from Edgar about, he did kind of a little section on Melchizedek and then on the David prophecy, and both of those he took about a 20-minute segment in our live Q&A to cover both of those. And so I just released just the Melchizedek section that's on YouTube. I'll try to remember to put it in the description below if you want to watch that, and I'll also try to put the link to the David one below. But you know, I think the thing about the David prophecy, there's 2 things that always get me about it. One is the assumption that it's a prophecy in the first place. Like, where do they get that, you know, just because David reigned for so many years, that somehow means that that's a prophecy that Christ would reign the same amount of time? Like, that's an assumption. You know, you don't take Moses ruled over the people of Israel for a certain length of time. And isn't Moses a picture of Christ in many respects? But they don't say that because Moses reigned or ruled over Israel for such and such a time, that proves that Christ will also, that's a prophecy that Christ will also do the same. And so it's just, they just kind of pick and choose what they want to turn into prophecies, and anything that they can turn and twist to benefit their own agenda, they'll turn it into that. But then something that you mentioned is the fact that it says David, his throne, or talking about Christ, it says his dominion, his rule is forever. It's forever and ever. He will reign on the throne of David, as long as the moon is in the sky. It talks about things like that. Like, it's not going to end. The reign of Christ is never said to be 40 years. It's specifically said to be forever and ever. And so how they still hold to that David prophecy as if it's somehow proof of Ahnsahnghong being second coming Christ. It's just, and it's crazy. Like you said, watch Edgar's video and you'll see that that's not right. So go ahead.
But yeah, even it's crazy because even so, Christ only reigned, got the gospel kingdom. He reigned for 3 years, right? Say so, right? But we teach in Zion, even Christ, he was preached to the dead. Like, when people died, he continued to carry out his gospel even when they're dead. So it's not only 3 years. He continued carrying his gospel for all those people who died, who was martyred, who wasn't able to be there with Christ, but believe in Christ later, or even the people who did not believe in Christ. We preach Christ preached to them in the grave, so we see even when we die, we believe in Church of God, Christ is carrying out the gospel even when we're dead. So it's no set 40 years. Then the gospel is continuing going, everlasting, when we're dead or alive. The gospel is getting spread.
So were there other questions, other things that stood out to you that you maybe asked the WMSCOG that you never got a satisfactory answer on? And what were some of those things?
Yeah, the 3 angels, right? So in the book of Revelation, talk about the 3 angels. So this detail that got to me when the first angel has the everlasting gospel, right? So like in the Green Book, I know you probably familiar with 3 angels. The Green Book states the first angel was the Reformation, right? That's when Martin Luther came and the Reformation. The second angel is William Miller movement, right? 1844. That's the second angel. Then the third angel, of course, Ahnsahnghong, right? But in Church of God, Ahnsahnghong is the only one who could bring us the everlasting covenant, basically, right? Everlasting covenant, right? But you ask them, well, what is the gospel, right? The gospel, according to Church of God, the gospel is the new covenant, and the core is the Passover. So you see, the first angel, he brings the everlasting gospel. So he brings the everlasting covenant, basically, right? So if the first angel is bringing the everlasting gospel, the new covenant, right? The only second coming can do that, right? That's what Church of God believe. Only second coming can bring the everlasting covenant, new covenant, right? But we see the first angel, he brings the everlasting gospel, which is, in their interpretation, could be the covenant, the new covenant. But the first angel do that, so that means the Reformation did that. That means the third angel, who's Ahnsahnghong, didn't do that, right? But he's the only one that can do it. The third, only second coming is the only one that can bring that covenant, everlasting gospel, the everlasting new covenant. He's the only one. But we see the first angel does that before the second coming Christ. So they wasn't able to answer that.
What were some other things that stick out to you that they couldn't answer?
It was let's see, I had a list of things, but I told them y'all can answer my questions, but the main point, I told them the main point was my connection. That's the main point. You can answer all my questions, y'all could, it might be, and it could you can answer it. It might be satisfied. It could be this, that. You could be right. But my connection
doesn't matter.
Don't matter, because I let them know. I called. I called my friend. Call my friend in church. I'm like, hey, bro, I'm let you know, I'm gone. I can't do it no more. And he probably saw it coming because we had conversations, a lot of conversations. So I let him know that I'm not going. You know, I'm done. You know, and then I let him know it's like my connection. And he asked me questions too. I'm like, you know, it's my connections first. But like, you want to get to my head, open these doors. You know, I'll let you know too. These questions I be having in the back of my head too. I'll let you know, but it's not gonna solve nothing. You know, and then he let the deacon know. He had to, because you know he's like the leader. So anything happens like that, you gotta call the leader to let them know like who's falling away. You know, falling away. So deacon called me, and he like, you know, if we're able to answer your questions, you know, will you come back to Zion? I'm like, nah, like it's not, no, like you can answer my questions. You know,
that's secondary.
That's secondary. Like my connection got to be there. You know, and I never feel that.
That's interesting. Yeah, and that's really what for Edgar it came down to for him as well. Was, you know, he talks about he was laying in the hospital bed about to undergo you know, pretty serious surgery, and he had no peace. He just didn't feel any peace with God. He had no confidence that he was okay, and you know, it became all about, you know, did he do enough? Was he, you know, and how could he know that he did enough? You know, even though he was a great member, he, you know, he kept his Passovers, he kept his Sabbaths and all that. But at the end of the day, if your acceptance with God is based on your performance, then it's always going to leave room to wonder, is it enough? And so, yeah, his was maybe a little different than yours, but it came down to just that lack of peace that he felt. And you know, that lack of a real sense of a connection with God that, yeah. So even if you have all the questions answered, what does that matter really if what they are offering doesn't give you that sense of peace and connection that really is what, you know,
and it's sad.
If religion can't do that, then what does it have to offer?
Yeah. And I feel like it's a lot of members like that. Like they just gone. It's just, you know, it's no connection. They're just doing, you know, because I heard this too. Like, people said, like, I heard this myself, and then my wife heard this too from a deacon, you know, from a deaconess, you know, like, they said, like, this is bad. This is such a bad faith. They said, this, look, it's hard to come out. Look, they said, even if mother is not God, she's my God. I'm like, what kind of faith is that? I'm like, no, I can't.
Wow.
No.
Somebody said that to you?
No, yeah. And my wife heard it. Somebody told my wife that too.
Yeah.
So I heard it. So that's how members are like. Like they're so committed now, especially like you in 10 years plus. Like you might fully commit now. I'm surprised Eagle got out. You know, you don't. You know, I'm happy he's out. You know, but like after 10 years, you might as well commit now. Like you dedicate. You know.
Yeah.
And there's like, some people get to the point like that. Like I'm in it for long now. I'm in it now, but.
Facts don't matter in that case. Facts and evidence and truth is, it just goes out the window, and that's a perfect example of cognitive dissonance, of just sweeping facts and all that under the rug, because you're in it not because you have any reason to believe that it's actually true. You couldn't you know, somebody asks you, back it up that this is true, and you can show it from reality and evidence. You're just committing to it because of more of an emotional attachment of some sort. But yeah, it is crazy that people can get to the point where they could say something like that. That even if this, you know, this old lady in South Korea, you know, she's my God, just even if she's not really God, she's my God because, you know, she is. You know, that's man. I don't know what it would take to get to that point. It has to just, again, come down to this emotional attachment.
Yeah, I can't have faith like that, man. That's not like, I can't have the faith. Yeah. That's that.
Just what overall do you feel like was your experience in there? I know you even mentioned that some of it was positive, but maybe share a little bit in that way.
Yeah, me myself, you know, I can't speak for everybody else, because I heard about that experience. You know, you know, it's the world we live in. Like, you're gonna have bad experience. It's 50-50. World's divided 50-50. You know, you can have good experience here. Some people might have bad experience there. Like, we go to Applebee's. You know, I'm having a good experience at Applebee's. You may have a bad experience at Applebee's. You know, but I have saw some crazy things though. You know, me myself, it was a good experience for me. I can speak for myself, but I saw things, you know, for members like, dang, that's kind of messed up. Yeah, I could only speak for myself. Like me, I had a good experience. I had a good experience. You know, if you want to hear some, if you want to hear like a crazy story, I guess I have a crazy story. I saw this missionary. He yelled at a member. He was like special needs too. Like, he wasn't all the way there. You could tell like he had some type of disability, and like, he blurts out, he had Tourette's or something. He just blurts out things sometimes, you know. He wasn't all the way there. But he was a good, you know, he's a good person. You know, he's a good person. You know, I talked to him he's a good person inwardly and outwardly. But he said something that's to his mama, I guess. He said something to his mama. Sometimes he can't control it. He can't control it. He got a disability. You know, he got Tourette's. He just yells things out. You know, he can't control it. And the missionary is in his face, like, you don't ever talk to your mama. He like, it's in his face, like pointing in his face, and said, "Do you want me to rebuke you?" Like crazy like that. I'm looking in my head like, this guy is like, he has a special disability. Like you don't, you know, like, you got to understand where he's coming from. Like, some things he can't control, you know, and it's. Sometimes I think like leadership likes to like put that image out there too, you know, like let them know like I'm in charge type of stuff, you know. It's like I saw leaders like rebuke other leaders, you know, like correct them. I say correct them, you know, and then praise them after. It's like you know, it's but you don't experience that anywhere, you know, just you experience good and bad anywhere, you know. The church ain't different from any other place, you know, any other coast out there. It's like you're gonna see some messed up stuff, you know.
So,
but I'm glad nothing weird happened to me, you know. I'm just glad because I even say too, like, I remember like when I'm working my way up, right, and then leaders are telling me stories like what they went through, right, and like what they experienced too. And I'm like, ain't no way you finna talk to me like that. Ain't no way like somebody's finna approach me and like do that to me. They're like, oh, when you become a leader, like, you have to just take it. You have to take it. I'm like nah, like I'm a man at the same time.
This is church, not the military.
Exactly. No, it's really military based too. Like the thing is to break you down to build you back up. No lie, that's what it is. They'll break you down, especially like when you come to like more of a higher. They'll break you down and they'll bring you back up. You know, I heard that multiple times, like really military stuff. I heard it used to be worse back. It used to be worse like now, or more loving. Like, they're trying to be more loving now, but like then, it said it used to be way worse. Like 5 years when I was seeing things, 10 years ago was way worse. 10 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I assume that they respond a lot to criticism when they see that they're being criticized for certain things. They start to change their practices in many ways, which is just, I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, you definitely see that playing out, you know, and but it's like, if you have the truth of God and you are the one true church with the true gospel, why do you have to basically be, you know, reprimanded by the outside world about your behavior in order to change it? But I would be interested to see how intense it was, you know, 10, 15, 20 years ago, because I would assume that they have tried to change and to adapt a little bit more to alleviate some of the criticisms they get. But along those lines, did you experience like either being taught directly or indirectly to not witness or evangelize to homeless, handicapped, homosexuals?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. That's one thing I hated too. Like, man, we talking about, because like I come from a rough neighborhood, you know this, and like, you know, I used to help the community. Like even now, like I see, you know, like I see homeless men, like, you know, I don't want to brag, you know, say too much, you know, just like, you know, I help out, like, you know, I went to McDonald's, I see he posted on the corner, like, I got a burger for you, bro, like here, like, you know, like they stand in front of a store, like you want a little seat, I buy a whole box of it for you, you know, it's good, you know, like Dollar Tree, like anything from Dollar Tree, 99-cent store, man, come on, what you need, you know, and they'll buy whatever, you know, I got a limit, you know, don't go too crazy on me now, you know, I got a limit, I got a family to feed too.
Yep.
You know, but
yeah.
I'm able. If I'm capable, I'm able. You know, if I got, I get. But yeah, like times I preach to homeless people, and then like, you know, leaders like, nah, we don't do that. You know, because you got to think about why they got there. You know, because they sinned in that situation, and it's like anybody could be in that situation. You know, like the pandemic. Lost jobs, you know, recession, you know, because I went into recession. My dad lost his job. You know, my dad was on borderline homeless. You know, he lost his mind and everything. So, you know, hardships in this world, because, you know, but they blame the sin we committed in heaven, of course, you know.
Right.
I always wondered that how come we don't really help out too much of the homeless. You know, we do cleanups and everything, but like, you know, just reading the Bible, you see Christ, you know, he helped the homeless, you know, people in need, you know, the lame, the disability, you know, the unable, you know, he helped those people. And, you know, I feel like that's where the genuine love comes from. You know, I feel like the love is not really genuine, you know, just.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, think about this. Matthew 25, where Jesus talks about separating the sheep from the goats, and the goats obviously go off to judgment, whatever that is, and the sheep are the ones who, you know, receive his blessing and favor. But in that, Jesus describes like why it is each group goes to their different destinations. Like why is it that the goats are goats? What makes goats goats, and what makes sheep sheep? What makes the goats unacceptable to God and out of his favor, and the sheep acceptable to him and in his favor? And so he says things like, you know, I was in prison and you visited me. I was hungry and you fed me. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. And that this whole list of reasons why these people were sheep and accepted by him, it's interesting to me. It has nothing to do with Sabbath keeping, has nothing to do with keeping Passover, has nothing to do with how much they were tithing, has nothing to do with how much they're going to church, has nothing to do with how much they were evangelizing. None of those things are even on the table in this distinction being made between the sheep and the goats. It's all about, all of it comes down to their love. Whether or not these people had a genuine love, compassion, and care for the least of these, like the lowly in the world, those in need. You know, it mentions those in prison, those who are sick, those who are naked, those who are hungry. And the sheep are a kind of people who do what you just described. They have this actual real compassion in their hearts, where they care for those people. And, you know, it's the Pharisees. The Pharisees were the ones, look in the Gospel of John, and the Pharisees were the ones who saw like the blind man, the people who were born blind. And they said, oh, they're that way because of their sin. It's because you were born in sin that you were born blind. That is the exact attitude and behavior of the Pharisees, the one who the WMSCOG condemns, you know, people like me as being like that. But that's exactly what they're doing.
Crazy.
The exact thing the Pharisees do.
That's crazy. Yeah. Like, that's crazy. My wife brought this up too, because my wife, she has a special needs brother too. He has autism. And so he has a couple more things too though. But he has a mind of a 5. He has a child. He's like over 40 years old, and he have a mind of a child, basically. But my wife thought about that too, and then like, she thought because of the sin that he committed in heaven too, and she felt bad about it too. She's like, you know, but you see it in the gospel said, you know, the disciples asked Christ like, who sinned? Was it him or his parents? And then Christ said, this is for the glory of God. You know, it wasn't nobody's. It's for the glory of God, and you see, Christ was able to heal that person to show the glory of God. So it wasn't because of Christ didn't say because who sinned. It just you know, God has a reason for everything. You know, God's providence. You know, it's up to God. You know.
That's a great point, and that's just a challenge to members, especially leaders who are promoting that and teaching, forbidding and restricting members from preaching to these groups of people. But the first thing is just Matthew 25. Like, that is a distinguishing factor between sheep and goats, and which one you are, according to Jesus, is how you are treating the homeless, the lowly, these groups of people who you specifically teach your members to ignore and to not preach to. And in doing so, though, you are displaying and teaching your members to display the exact behavior that, again, according to Jesus, makes goats goats. And that verse in John is just such it just so clearly contradicts that idea that these people are in their condition because of their sin. You know, that, again, that's what the Pharisees taught. That's how they believed about these people. And Jesus very clearly said, no, they were not in this condition because of their own sin, but it's for the glory of God. And so, that's just, that's a red flag, a huge red flag, a huge problem.
Matthew 25, they
see that all the time with former members.
Yeah, they interpret that spiritual. Matthew 25, they interpret it as that spiritual, like, as basically carrying the gospel. Like, I was hungry, you didn't feed me. Like, somebody's hungry, feed them the word of God. Like, no, I'm not lying. I'm dead serious. Like,
I believe you. Yeah.
Matthew 25 is a spiritual, you know, Church of God belief. That's what I was taught. You know, Matthew 25 is spiritual. Like, it's not physical. You know, it's just spiritual. Like, preaching gospel, carry the gospel. That's how you feed, get people the water of life. You know, and preaching.
So they just and I could see that there's an element of the spiritual involved in that, but it's very obviously, you know, both. And Jesus never makes a point to say, like, what I'm saying is only spiritual and should only be applied in a spiritual way, and you should neglect the physical entirely. And this is just another area where the WMSCOG really just minimizes anything physical, any aspect of your physical life, of your physical well-being, your job, your income. All that is just, you're taught to care less about it, really. Would you agree with that?
I can see it. This is the way I was taught. There's priorities, you know, so seek God and his righteousness, right? Seek that first, right? So you want to carry out the gospel, keep the new covenant, right? That is first. The new covenant, the gospel, Zion, new covenant, father, mother, like, that's first. And everything else should be around. So, like, if you have a job, right, you make sure your job does not fall on the third day or the Sabbath, right? And try not don't get a night shift job because it'll interfere with the gospel. You can't preach, you know, at the preaching meetings, you know. So you want to get a day job, so you're able to, when you got work, you come to Zion and you can preach in the preaching meetings. So the church is first, Zion's first, and then your life should be secondary, basically. So that was the mindset of the gospel workers, the disciples, the gospel work. Like, you have to work around the gospel, basically. That goes first, though. You don't put that that aside.
Yeah,
because they want you to work. According to want you to work, so you can tithe, keep the law of tithing. So, you know, they encourage you to work. You know, and but like, if it's a birthday, fall on the Sabbath, funerals, or anything else that falls on the Sabbath, you know, you have to miss that, basically. Yeah. Because the church goes first. The law, the new covenant comes first.
Yeah. Yeah. So I can see, like, you know, the idea that, you know, seek first the kingdom of God, that the kingdom of God being a priority, how they could get that from Scripture, but I think that the degree to which they take it sometimes is pretty just destructive, especially when it involves things like relational things where members who have weddings or funerals for close family members, and they are, they'll ask their leaders, can I go to this funeral, the funeral of my grandpa or something, some very close family member, and their Sabbath is put before that. And Sabbath is emphasized as something that you can't miss it for anything. And I just feel like that's taking it to that idea, that principle to seek first the kingdom, that's taking that to such an extreme and dangerous level. Even examples I've heard of members, who will go and get ice cream and they'll be rebuked for it and told, like, that's a worldly thing, brother. Like, we need to be focusing on the kingdom and not partaking in the pleasures of the world and things like that. Just it'd be just like such extreme examples like that.
It'd be like that too, because I remember like when my wife left, right? When my wife finally left away from the church, right? My first Sabbath without her, right? With the family, because update too. Like I know last time we talked, I had 2 kids at the time. Now I have a 1-year-old now, and then my wife is pregnant now. My first girl coming up now.
Congratulations!
So, thank you so much. And my first baby girl coming up in April. I'm excited. So 2 years, awesome. I got 2 more kids. Yep. Last time I talked to you.
That's awesome.
But
that's probably about what I got too. I gained my first baby girl as well.
Congratulations!
Year, so yeah,
that change. Oh my goodness, that feeling that changes me. Like I don't know. Yeah. I'm all boys. If I got all boys, and then like my first girl coming up, that hits you differently. They just hit differently.
Yes,
it's some with girls. I don't know. I'm excited, but anyways, my wife, right, my family, because she was in the kids' room with the kids, and then I walked by the kids' room and she no longer there, so I'm sad, I'm sad by myself. My family's not here, I got sad, to the point where I started like tearing up a little bit, I was tearing up, and this is messed up. It's probably like the worst experience I had, probably one of them, like, and then like the leaders, like one of the leaders, Deaconess, and like, "Oh, you okay? You okay?" Like, "Yeah, I'm okay." And then the deacon saw me, is like, "Yeah, let's like let's focus on the Sabbath today." I'm like, I'm sad. I can't focus. I'm
so
sad.
Heartless. Like, yeah, so heartless.
Let's just focus on the Sabbath. I'm like, oh my goodness. That's how you feel.
Yeah. So it's just so detached from empathy, so detached from like real human interactions and what's really important, what really matters, what matters in that moment, how you're feeling, and the deep pain that you are dealing with and are trying to figure out how to cope with, or keeping the Sabbath. What's the point of the Sabbath? What's the point of the Sabbath if it's just this thing that you have to fake it? You have to fake your way through it.
I basically
put on a happy face.
And I gotta be happy that day, joyful, and
because
what's
the point of that?
Always be, what's that verse? Pray continuously, always be joyful. They take that to the heart, like always gotta be joyful. Even if you don't feel joyful, you gotta put that look on, like you're joyful. And it was hard that time.
Which they just completely misapply that, and instead of that saying be joyful, what they're really meaning is fake it. Just be fake. Like, there's a way to be joyful as you also acknowledge your pain and the real struggles you're going through, and nothing in that verse is telling us to just pretend like we're okay and pretend to be happy. I think it's more saying, like, be in your pain and in your struggle, acknowledge it, but when you have that real connection, I think, with God, that connection you said that you feel like you didn't have, there's a way to be in your pain and in your struggles, but to have a joy in the midst of that because of that connection with God. But yeah, man, I've sorry about that experience, and feel so sorry for the members who have to put up with that sort of just complete heartless behavior in response to you guys when you're dealing with real life issues.
They should have. That's why I say that, James. Like you should just like, I'm going through it. Give me a hug. You know what? I need a hug at a time.
Yeah.
Give me a hug. You know. But there was a member around. You know, something like, "You okay? It's gonna be okay." You know, there's some members. You know, but I don't know, man. It'd be crazy sometimes.